And I voted for President Trump.
I mean, you're an educator. You didn't vote for Trump eliminating federal funds.
No, I did not vote for that. I do not think that's what the voters want. It's devastating.
County wants to cut our school funding. I don't think that anyone voted for that.
Do you mind if I ask who you voted for in the election?
I voted for Donald Trump.
I'm just really scared of the state of our world, of people becoming less literate. I already have like such a vast majority of people who are in middle school who read at a first, second, and third grade level, guys. And it is so hard to get people even a year of growth without resources, without money.
I never thought in a million years that I would actually regret voting for Donald Trump. Listen to this, you guys. My job has been frozen.
I never thought this day would come. Well, I'm gonna regret what I did. I really regret voting for this guy.
Hey fam, Gracie here once again. Welcome back to the channel. I am hoping that from wherever you my people are watching this from, you're doing alright and God has protected you and preserved you very well. And to you that continuously give support to me on here, I do appreciate you. And to my members, shout out to you guys. You do me amazing. And as always, we are back with another interesting episode to look at. In this one, we are going to be looking at teachers for Trump that are regretting their vote because, yeah, Trump, it's official, he's cut off federal funding for education for schools. And lots of them are like, you know, we voted him, but this is not what we voted for. And my question is, what did you vote for? What did you hear him say? Because as per, you know, the going of everything that is happening right now, he is doing exactly what he said he would do. So it's so unfortunate that the people that we trust, the educated class, is the one that is even actually coming out to cry on the internet right now. But hey, it's a FAFO edition. We are going to look at these clips. By the way, I'm going to attach more other clips of other people explaining what is at stake after looking at the teachers, you know, faffing. Because trust me, this is not just going to affect the Department of Education or education alone, or only palm-colored people, or the only ones that voted for, you know, Donald Trump. Unfortunately, those that voted are causing this massive, huge pain in the air for everybody. But we are going to watch this, come back and talk about it. But don't forget to subscribe if you're landing on the channel for your very first time.
And I voted for President Trump.
I mean, you're an educator. You didn't vote for Trump eliminating federal funds.
No, I did not vote for that. I do not think that's what the voters want. It's devastating.
County wants to cut our school funding. I don't think that anyone voted for that.
Do you mind if I ask who you voted for in the election?
I voted for Donald Trump.
80% of this county did vote for Donald Trump in November. But that doesn't mean that they believe that anything will be cut here.
I have to take responsibility for my personal vote that enabled that. I have to say I wasn't paying attention. I should have been and I wasn't. There's a lot of reasons for that, but and I regret that, obviously now. Trying to take responsibility for that and own it publicly.
The day after Trump won, I knew I had made a huge mistake. A lot of guilt and genuine shame. Probably gonna get some understandable hate for this.
I never thought this day would come. Well, I'm gonna regret what I did. I really regret voting for this guy. I'm working on this program for the sound power phones batteries. We're researching these batteries for these sound power phones, and they cut off our funding. It is really sad. You get to the office and they tell you, we're no longer going to fund your research for these batteries for these sound power phones. And you know, what makes me sad is that these batteries were going to make such an impact on the lives of our deployed troops, especially the sailors out there. These are for vital communications on board the ships. So I truly regret now my vote. And I hope more people speak up just like I did.
Parents of more than 7 million students with disabilities could face a terrifying new reality: massive cuts to special education. Dante Moore is one of those terrified parents. He's now worried sick over the idea that his boys who have autism will lose crucial specialized care that's funded through federal grants and programs. Noah is 5, Sir Dante is 6, and after an incident last year when a teacher was accused of breaking Noah's fingers, well, something she's now facing felony charges for, Dante decided to homeschool his boys. A former law enforcement officer, disabled vet, and Purple Heart recipient, Dante protected and served our country. Now he's worried he won't even be able to protect his own kids. The Department of Ed, it does give the state of Texas $1.3 billion for education. So what exactly could your boys lose if your state loses that money from the federal government?
It would be very devastating to my boys, to all other parents that are dealing with the need for the resources for special education. And of course, that is the IDEA program, Individuals with Disabilities and Education Act, and of course, Title I, because not only do I have 2 children with intellectual disabilities, namely autism, I have a son who's an aspiring doctor. So Title I, and amongst other programs, help him receive those Pell Grants and things like that so that he can move forward with his academic career and hopefully become a doctor in the coming years. The main things that the school offers for my son, that of course come through direct funding from the Department of Education, is things like his occupational therapy. Another initiative that helps my children is speech therapy. When they were diagnosed at about 2 years old with autism, one of the biggest concerns was their ability to speak and to articulate, words in a proper manner. And those special needs require the skill of, a qualified speech therapist, amongst other things.
Hey, I'm Nikki, and I don't really come on here to talk about what I do for my job, but with the new administration of Trump that we have in office, I thought that this would be a perfect time to finally come on and talk about my perspective. So I am a special education teacher, and I've been in education for almost a decade. But what is so concerning about the new Trump administration is the fact that he wants to get rid of the Department of Education from our government. With the privatization of education, we see that people without resources will continue to stagnate. If the term that we want to make this country the best country we can ever have, we already have had an education problem with funding and resources for so long. Why do we think that getting rid of public education resources will help anyone at all? Special education specifically is funded through our government, and so each time that we have people in schools that have special education needs, that means people with even dyslexia, with math disabilities, autism. I work specifically with people who have learning disabilities or maybe some other disabilities, but they are typically really able to succeed if they are given the correct resources. And so without these resources, how are we supposed to continue to grow in our data and information, which everything in education is around data, and our data has stagnated. The statistics that I read from NPR shows that we continue to have a stagnation rate since 2019. So what do we really think in the next 4 years is going to change if we're going to cut funding, if we're going to propel people towards school choice? I right now work at a charter school, and we have a really high population here in Colorado because we have been a refuge state, which that's still something that we'll see how our current administration allows people from other countries to come to our country, but we are a state that has given refugees from lots of different places in the world, but mostly South America, opportunities here to get education. Now, how does that work with students? So a lot of we have had a mass majority of influx of people to our state who speak English as a second language. And so within education, that means that we have to be providing services daily to students who have English as a second language. If they speak a different language at home, then we are providing resources to their English development in schools. And how do we get that? We get that through funding. So just like how special education gets funding through the government, we also get funding and resources through ELD or whatever each state and stuff in education calls something different, but English language development is also given through money and resources. So these problems aren't going to go away by getting rid of money and funding. So as I continue to see what goes on in the news, and I had one of my paraeducators literally send me something today that was just more information from NPR. Like, I'm just really scared of the state of our world, of people becoming less literate. I already have like such a vast majority of people who are in middle school who read at a first, second, and third grade level, guys. And it is so hard to get people even a year of growth without resources, without money. I'm basically doing 2 people's jobs this year, and I could probably have 3 to 4 more people, and I would finally be more manageable at my job. So this is a place online that I honestly don't like to talk about, because I'm just someone who uses the internet as an escape instead of talking about what's going on in my daily life. But this is something that has been on my heart and mind, and I thought I would share. So thanks for letting me vent. There's so much more I could talk about if people have questions, but as someone whose own family voted for things that is making my life more complicated, the cognitive dissonance is wild. Alright, I'm gonna film Get Ready With Me as I go have some joy with my community. I'm hosting a Galentine's Day activity today, so I'm gonna go do that, but we have to vote and protest and stand with our youth, and what that is going to look like is organizing ourselves as educators or adults who want people to have access to education and literacy. And a better life, because without that I see things going really badly, where people are going to remain in poverty, where we're going to have the prison to school pipeline increase tenfold, and we're going to see people become less and less literate, and that's already a problem. So I see that gap continuing to increase, and that's not an America that I want to live in.
If you're a teacher and you're voting for Mr. Trump, you might want to know that he wants to get rid of teacher tenure, which simply means that you can't be fired without cause. And he also wants to create a credentialing body to certify teachers who embrace patriotic values. So if he takes away teacher tenure, you can get fired for any reason without cause. And then if he has this certifying body and you don't get certified because you don't exemplify the right patriotic values, your job will be at risk. So vote carefully.
Guys, I have a U.S. update. Your president is busy signing them executive orders. Let's get into this executive order that he just signed that will be cutting funding from schools. Okay, so your president signed executive orders on COVID-19 mandates and Energy Dominance Council. Mr. Trump has convened the press in the Oval Office to sign an executive order cutting off federal funding for schools and universities that require students be vaccinated against COVID-19 to attend classes. In addition to that order, the White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt said that the president had signed another order establishing an Energy Dominance Council led by the Interior Secretary, Mr. Doug, and Energy Secretary, Mr. Chris. Leavitt made a point to note that the Associated Press was not in attendance for this. As well as we see, they do not believe in the freedom of the press and the freedom of speech because you are punishing the Associated Press. That's your update.
Now, with DOGE saying that they're going to stop the federal funding for schools if they do not stop their DEI training, the federal government, according to the Census Bureau, in the year 2022, only provides 14% of the funding for schools, where the states provide 86% of that funding. Now, the funding that the federal government provides for is your IEP training, is your IEP for students of special needs who need extra help, student loans, grants, financial aid, stuff like that. So what they're going to be taking away is mostly that extra help that special needs children need for their education. Now, if you want to follow me over on YouTube, the link is in my bio, and I do have videos coming out pretty much every day over there.
To the now former Trump supporters who are all saying that they regret their vote and they want to help, be careful, because people on the left are still fairly mad at you, and they're going to remain fairly mad at you for a while. But the ball is in your court. If you want to do something to help, show up to a protest, make a sign, tell them who you are. You are a conservative who was at a protest with the opposition of the person you voted for because you no longer support that person. That's impressive. That is a huge step that a lot of people on the left will respect. The other thing you can do is call your representative, tell them how you vote, and then tell them that you are upset and that you would like things to change and that you no longer support Donald Trump, because that is huge. We need the numbers. And while we don't have the exact same goals, we all do have the goal of we want to be free.
It is so unfortunate that the people that are educated, those that people think they should be looking up to when it comes to information, they're the same people that are coming out to cry on the internet of how this is not what they voted for. Like I asked in the beginning of the introduction, I'm like, what did you hear him say? That makes people so smart, because it really is a cult. People are following blindly without really doing any research. And imagine entrusting your children with such people, with such heads that cannot think of the outcomes of their own actions. A majority of them voted for this. This is not just going to affect only, them that voted for this. This is causing so much damage than you would even ever think. I had to go deeper and dig to see, the percentages according to race of the kids that have special, needs. And from what it looks like, unfortunately, 35% is palm-colored children. Can you imagine being that? I don't want to insult anybody, but being that you fill in the gaps, right? For you to vote against yourself to an extent that you're putting your own children, the majority of your children need this funding. They need this extra care. 35% of them, they are not going to have benefits from this funding anymore. And I hope that you learn a lesson. So much blood is going to be on their head. I'm sorry, I don't want to be a judge. But 23%, I know you already wanted me to say what is the other percentage. 23% of kids with special needs are Black children. And then multiracial, including the Latinos and all those other groups, it is 33%. Thank God we have the least percentage, but either way it's going to affect us as well. You saw that veteran that is already talking about his 2 boys that are going to be affected by this. But it's not just him. There are so many more other parents. And I hate the fact that they even had to bring him as a representation when the highest percentage is supposed to be from, the palm-colored people. Perpetrating that, it's Black people that are, again, the beneficiaries of such programs, when in fact, it is everybody that really benefits from this, because this program does not just benefit Black people, it benefits each and everyone else. And unfortunately, majority of those that it benefits the more, they voted against it, and now they are about to feel it. That's why you're seeing them, saying, I regret my own actions. I do regret. I wish and pray that they storm the streets and start speaking up on this, because this is going to be worse. People are already struggling in America. It's not that the economy is really doing well, you know, and now on top of that, you are raising the cost of education. Like, for real, already the American education system is not even the best, unfortunately. And to be honest, yeah, the illiteracy rate is alarming in the United States of America. Even when these fundings have been there, at least they have been trying to help a little bit, right? Now imagine a situation where all these funds are just cut off. Guys, this is really serious, because including the grants, the poor schools, public education is already not good. Now you are planning to privatize it, just making it worse for everybody. Because trust me, not everybody has all the resources to afford private education to get better. You understand? So these public schools that would have even gotten something little to improve and at least be able to, help a civilian, a person that is not really doing so much, yeah, it's gonna be cut off. That really, really makes a lot of sense when people say that this guy is so much interested in leading a country that is uneducated, because if you're not educated, then you're not going to cancel him or call him out on some of the BS that he does. These people, all they prioritize is whiteness. As long as it is whiteness, as long as it is, those white supremacy ideas that are in power, they are going to suppress each and everybody else. But now, guess who is going to feel this? The 33% of your children. Yeah? This is going to, like some of the speakers were saying, that this is literally going to stagnate the quality of education, because if the public schools can't have the fundings, they are not going to provide the same equal quality education, like the private schools. So it's just going to worsen things. Guys, like, comparing America, in fact, with all the neighboring countries, the education is one of the, the most expensive one. If you're not funding schools, what are you going to fund? Where is all this money that is drawing out going, like, where is it going to go to? Like, these are social services that people benefit from. These are social services that the taxpayers, pay the little, at least for you to put back in the system to support them in the things they cannot do as an individual, on an individual level. As much as some people are saying, it's going to help, the different districts and whatever states to recognize and be like, at least they're going to be more focused on the needs of the community. I feel like it's going to do worse than just the state being able to recognize what the community needs. There are those states that do not even get that much funding, right? And some of these small funds are the ones that they have been depending on. Unfortunately, when you look at this, as much as I know that you cannot force anybody to take, the medications for whatever, COVID, stuff like that. It's okay not to force anybody to get this, right? But think about the generation of kids that have special needs. That's the biggest concern. How are they going to cope up with this? How are the parents going to cope up with this? They are already, like, vulnerable. You see how this guy is literally throwing the population of the most vulnerable in the name of, we are exposing what? Anywho, on the other hand, you realize that most of these people that are also crying is because these funds have been in some way used. I don't know if they've been used for something else that they were not sent for, because you cannot tell me that those systems are not corrupt either. Yeah, lots of them that are crying, they know, some of their supply is being cut. And that's why most of them, you even see them coming and crying, because, the job is nowhere to be found now. Yeah, it's not profitable anymore, because some of them have been benefiting from that, from some funds from, the government. Now, it's time for you to pull yourself by your bootstraps. And these people that are saying, we didn't vote for this. You voted for exactly that. He is doing exactly what you voted him to do. So, this regretting and all of that, storm the street. Yeah, be the champions, lead the way, because this is going to be interesting. He wants to lead the blind. Now I can only imagine if the blind leads the blind, I don't know where they'll be going. My people, those of you that do have kids that have been on this funding, because some parents decided to even take their children for, like homeschooling, because still the schools were not doing the best, right? But those of you that have been benefiting from this, what is the way out? What is the future of these children that need extra help? Yeah, what is the future of poor schools that needed this extra help to keep going? I see so many schools closing from this. I see so many schools being closed. And the vice president and his president, they are going to be clapping, because I think it looks like that's exactly what they've been wanting. But also, where do you think this money is going? Every money that he's pulling out, it's not that he's building anything better, because I would feel like if you're pulling all of this, it should be put back into the sectors that need it the most. Education needs that. He himself said that education in America is like, it's not the best. It ranks like on the 40th, right? Yeah. So why don't you inject that money in there and better it, right? Yeah. Anywho, let me know what you think in the comment section, and please subscribe to the channel if you have not. I will definitely see you in another amazing video. Until then, my name is Gracie and I love you. Bye.